Welcome into America's Retirement Headquarters, home of the Retirement Guys Formula and America's Medicare Associates. Securities offered through Peak Brokerage Services, LLC. Advisory services offered through the Retirement Guys Formula, registered investment advisor. America's Retirement Headquarters, America's Medicare Associates, and the Retirement Guys Formula are separate and independent entities from Peak Brokerage Services, LLC. Welcome into, and thanks so much for joining us here on America's Retirement Headquarters, home of the Retirement Guys Formula, America's Medicare Associates, and Retirement Tax Partners with Nolan Baker. 419-794-3030 is the phone number. How you get in touch? Set up a time to speak with America's Retirement Headquarters. 419-794-3030. Online, arhq.com. Today on the show, where should you pull funds from first in retirement? How to invest in the 5 years leading up to retirement? And do you need a retirement coach? All this and more. But before we dive in, let me check in. Nolan, glad to be with you once again. How are you, sir?
Doing great. Happy Mother's Day this weekend to all the moms that are out there. Mm-hmm. I know my wife is a very proud mom, and hopefully the kids come over and we have a great dinner that we cook for her, and she gets to do a little bit of a relaxing. We also have the Toledo Air Show in Toledo this weekend. So it's been a couple of years since we've had the Toledo Air Show. I know we volunteered out there a couple of years ago when my kids were in the Boy Scouts of America, and hopefully maybe get an opportunity to go out there and see some cool fighter jets and all the great military and civilian aircraft that they have come to that show. So good weekend planned, and hopefully you guys that are listening are also having a wonderful weekend as well.
Absolutely, and want to extend what Nolan said there. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms, grandmothers, moms of pets out there that are celebrating. Really do appreciate you. And Nolan, we appreciate you taking time out of what sounds like an action-packed schedule to spend with the listeners here. I want to start off with a number, $1 million. I think you ask people, if they've got that, they'd probably be pretty comfortable. But do you really need $1 million to retire at 65? That's the question so many people ask. The real answer, though, might actually surprise you. Today, we're going to talk about 3 powerful steps to determine if you can retire, and we're going to dive into the heart of retirement readiness with a clear, practical framework to evaluate, if you're ready to now make work optional. Whether it's just a couple years away or you're already retired, and second-guessing your numbers, we're going to walk you through the key areas that matter the most, because it's not just about how much you saved. It's about how you use it, what you're going to do with it, what risks you plan for, and how confident you are that your income can last as long as you do. So, Nolan, I'm sure more often than not, when people come in, they want to know, can I retire? And they think that it's based solely off of a number. Is that what they should be looking at?
Well, I really believe that there's 3 powerful steps to determine if you can retire. And, in this segment, I think I'm really going to kind of help walk you through what those look like, be able to kind of help implement it and put them in practice. And one of the things that we've done in our office is we've created what's called the Retiree Savings Calculator. So there are a lot of times people will come into the office, they'll say, hey, Nolan, what's my number, right? What do I need? Mm-hmm. Is it $1 million? Is it $500,000? Is it $2 million? And with the retirement savings calculator, what we're able to do is take these, 3 powerful steps and put them together in a formula that can help you determine what your number is. So if you want to know your number, we can do that. And the 3 powerful steps to figure out knowing what your number are is, number one, is you want to understand what your expenses are. So when you're thinking about expenses, what I'm talking about is your minimum monthly income needs and also what is called your ideal income needs. Those are 2 different numbers. Your minimum monthly income needs are going to be the needs that are your basic living expenses. So your housing, your utilities, your groceries, the things that you need to run your household on a minimum basis. And then your ideal is going to now throw in all of the fun stuff. So it's the vacations, it's the trips, it's maybe some of those projects or some of those hobbies that you're going to start in retirement time as well. You want to look at what expenses can you eliminate before you move into retirement time. I would say in helping, hundreds and hundreds of families over the years retire, one thing that's pretty consistent about our retirees that are confident in their retirement plan are those retirees who've eliminated their debts. So things like, if you can pay off the car, if you can pay off the mortgage, those type of things can make a big, big improvement. Last thing you want to do is get into retirement time and then, all of a sudden take on a $50,000 or $75,000 home improvement project. And now you've got to put it on your line of credit and you've got to come up with that expense. In addition to that, if you think about the positives of debt elimination, If you have a $1,500 a month mortgage, but you only have maybe a $25,000 balance on that, that $1,500 a month can be a huge part of your minimum monthly income needs. Yet if you eliminate that by paying that off, that could help free up that $1,500, bringing that minimum monthly income need down quite a bit as well. Next thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to take into consideration how are those expenses going to change over time. Again, if you're moving into retirement time with a mortgage, at what point is that mortgage going to be paid off? I had a gentleman I was working with the other day, and he didn't want to take a large chunk of money out of his retirement to pay off his mortgage. Instead, what he was wanting to do is take an extra $1,000 a month and pay it towards his mortgage. We ran an updated amortization schedule based upon what his current balance was when he took out his loan and his interest rates. And that's going to save him about 9 years. So being able to have that mortgage paid off earlier will also then allow him to project in the future what his income needs are going to be down the road. Things like, are you going to need a new vehicle in a couple of years? You also want to factor in things like inflation. Things are going to get more expensive. So you want to have some type of bucket of money that's designed for some of these things that come up in the future. Those knowns like inflation, I would recommend that you have a pay raise bucket of money for those. Other things that are the unknowns, like emergencies, like what if my basement floods and I need extra money? Having a $50,000 or so emergency type of an account can cover probably 80% of the emergencies that come up. The number two powerful step to take is to shift money to build up that reliable income. A lot of people will come into the office and, when they're getting ready to retire, what we'll find is that the overwhelming majority of their money is in usually like their 401k, their IRA. They've built it up into their stock market accounts. And I think that's great for growing your money. That's what you really wanted to do when you get to this point is grow, grow, grow. But keep in mind, all roads lead to income. And so as you move into retirement time, as income becomes more of the priority, not saying that growth is not, but income more of the priority, shifting those assets over. In looking at those reliable income sources, what I want you to do is I want you to add up your Social Security, a pension, if you have a pension income, and any other sources of income that are considered reliable. Maybe it's like dividends and interest you could have, or income that you get from like non-market risk investments. Maybe it's rental income. If you add it up and you have a gap in what your income needs are, you're going to want to shift money from your variable income sources, meaning your stocks and bonds, your IRA, your 401k, into something that's more of a reliable income. I'll give you a specific example. If your goal is to have $5,000 a month as a minimum monthly income goal, when you factor in the amount of Social Security that you and your spouse get, and let's say you don't get a pension or other sources of income, so between the two sources of income for Social Security, there's $4,000 a month. That leaves you with $1,000 a month of a gap. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to shift money out of investments that have risk, so out of stocks and bonds, into something that's non-market risk. In my opinion, what you want to have is at least 5 years worth of money set up. So in this case, if you need $1,000 a month over 5 years, that's 60 months. You could put $60,000 in a bucket of money. The reason I like doing this is it's going to give you a plan B, meaning that in sequence of returns, when you get ready to retire, one of the worst possible things that could happen to you is that the market crashes right away, right after you retire. If you had 5 years worth of non-market risk investments, what that would do is that would allow you to shift your withdrawal strategy, taking money from non-retirement assets, things that did not go down in value, or non-market risk investments, things that did not go down in value, and give your market investments time to recover. You could extend that out for a longer period of time. Having 10 years worth of money, depending upon your financial assets, might be a great idea. So maybe you want to have $120,000 of money in that bucket. There's also financial products that you could just live off of the income that's generated. So again, you could determine how much money you need to put into a certain investment to generate $1,000 a month of income. And whether that's a, non-market risk CD. It could be a money market account, could be a fixed annuity, could be a variable annuity, could be a fixed index annuity with an income rider. Could be some type of alternative that generates income. But again, something that's not subject to the day-to-day noise of the stock market to provide that consistency. Then you want to create a bucket of money that's designed to give you a pay raise in the future. So if the goal is $5,000 a month, it's fair to say that in 5 to 10 years from now, $5,000 a month is not going to cut it.
Right.
So having a bucket of money that is designed to give you a pay raise in 5 or 10 years from now could be really good. You want to use the variable sources, again, like your stocks and bonds. That's going to be money that you use for the fun stuff in life. Items that you have more control on your spending dependent upon the market conditions. In those years where the market does great, those are the years to take those extra trips to Disney World or the Viking River cruise. Make those big home improvement projects of the new deck and hot tub out back that you always dreamed of. And then when you have those years where the market is not performing well, maybe the market's, underperforming, that's where you don't spend the extra money on the fun stuff. You kind of hold back because you don't want to send and sell those investments while they're temporarily down. The number 3 powerful step to take when figuring out how to determine if you can retire is to eliminate threats that can blow up your life savings. And what that could be is, again, a major market loss. It could be a healthcare crisis, or it could be a premature death. It's the process that we put together. It's called our independent income system. And so within the independent income system, what we do is we draw out these different buckets of money. We look at current income. We look at your reliable income. We look at the pay raise account, your long-term growth, emergency money. And when we draw that out for folks, many times I'll hear, I finally now really truly understand the purpose of what each of my accounts are designed to do. And by figuring out the purpose of what each account is designed to do, it helps you figure out what financial tool, product, or vehicle might be the most suitable or the best approach to accomplish the outcomes that you're looking for. That way you're not just chasing performance, you're chasing and looking at a specific goal or objective based upon the outcomes that you want to achieve. And then the follow-up that I'll ask to the person that when we draw the independent income system out is, okay, well, what could blow that up? And what could blow that up many times for a married couple is in the event of a premature death. So in the event of a premature death, if they're lucky enough to have a pension, what is the impact that you're going to have on the pension? Is there a survivorship option? Is it 0? Is it 50%? Is it 100%? If you're both collecting Social Security, there's going to be a drop in the Social Security income because the surviving spouse is only going to get the higher of the two. There's going to be a loss there. And it's been my experience that when a premature death happens, the income needs for the family doesn't get cut in half, right? Maybe you only need 1 car, but not 2. And so losing half of a Social Security income can be very painful in a situation where there's a premature death. From a healthcare crisis, we think about the area of needing healthcare, pre-65, after 65, if you have a supplement or just you're on original Medicare. And then to the issue of long-term care, the last thing you want to have happen is being in a situation where, let's take me as an example. I'm the guy, and in the end of my life, I need long-term care. And then I go into a facility and my wife and I are spending $10, $12, $15,000 a month for my care. And we're eroding and eating away at our life savings. And then all of a sudden I pass away and those life savings are, eaten up. That could blow up a plan for a couple in retirement time. And the last one is the major market losses. So again, not having that mind shift to moving over to what we talked about in the powerful steps 1 and 2, and having the reliable income and shifting some of those assets, but taking too big of major market losses. And again, nobody can control the stock market. So in the early years, those major market losses can be detrimental to the long-term success of you being able to confidently retire. So the question is do you need $1 million to retire at 65? Maybe not. If you want to know what your number is, if you want to walk through that retirement savings calculator, we can walk you through the different tools and resources that we have to help you answer those three powerful steps to determine if you can retire. Because, we want to make this year your best year ever, and we want to get you into a spot where you're comfortable and confident. Whether you're getting ready to retire or you just retired, give us a call. We'll help you walk you through those three powerful steps to determine if you can retire.
With roughly over 11,000 people turning 65 every day this year, I'm sure a lot of them are asking if I can retire. And the answer is not as simple as yes or no. It's about running those numbers, and that's something the team at America's Retirement Headquarters can help you with. So here's the number you need to keep in mind, 419-794-3030. That's the phone number to set up a time to speak with Nolan, the team at America's Retirement Headquarters, and begin the process of that independent income system, 419-794-3030. Or you can go to the website as well. Set up a time there at arhq.com. Now, let's give credit where credit is due. Congratulations. You've worked hard, saved in all the right accounts, your 401ks, IRAs, Roths, brokerage accounts. Now that retirement is upon you, the big question becomes, where do I pull the money from first? We're going to unpack some of the most overlooked and most impactful parts of retirement planning. That is the income withdrawal strategy. Because if you get this wrong, you could trigger unnecessary taxes, lose out on healthcare subsidies, or miss key Roth conversion windows. Taxes is still a money loss after all. We're going to walk you through the tools that we use, like the tax roadmap and our planning software, to help you figure out a smarter, more personalized path forward. Because when it comes to retirement income, sequence matters. So let's talk about the right order, Nolan, but I get a feeling it's going to depend on people's situations.
Well, it really does. I mean, you want to look at developing something based upon your own situation. So what the guy at the water cooler at work did and talked about is maybe not the best approach. In fact, I was talking with an advisor, and the gentleman that he was mentioning, one of his clients, was given the advice to start taking Social Security at the age 62, even though he's still working, which in his situation, pulling that Social Security income early can be detrimental because of he's still working. He's before full retirement age and can offer and have big penalties on what he's getting from Social Security. So where should you pull your funds from first? That is something that we can help out. How we look at it in somebody's individual situation is, number one, is we do what is called a tax what-if analysis. So having retirement tax partners at our office, we sit down with the tax team and we run the what-if analysis to help figure out what does it look like when you're taking money from an IRA, you're taking money from a regular taxable brokerage account, or should you pull money from a Roth IRA? And then what we do is we create a 2025 tax roadmap and then also look at how that plots out for the future. So that is, some different software that we can have. But again, those three options that you have on where to pull money from would be a taxable account. That would be money that you saved up. It could be in your savings account. It could be an investment brokerage account. You could have money in a tax-deferred account, commonly a 401k or a self-directed IRA, or you could have a tax-free account. Most common there would be things like your Roth IRA. It could potentially be cash value life insurance. Those would be the accounts that you look at. What you want to do in kind of figuring out where to pull money from is, first of all, for those of you that are retiring before the age 65, is the big area. If you're going to need healthcare, meaning that you're going to go on affordablehealthcare.gov, you have to understand that before the age of 65, drawing benefits on affordable healthcare is an income, not an asset test. Meaning that when you go on there and you talk about what your income is, if your income is too low, you could be ending up forced in a situation for health insurance to be into Medicaid. And the negative about being in Medicaid is not all providers are going to offer Medicaid coverage. So you could have, less access to different plans. In addition to that, if you end up putting in the numbers wrong and your income is too high, you end up losing your tax credit and subsidy. So we had a lady that we had recently met with. She came to us after she had already retired. She was talking to retirement tax partners and working at, getting her taxes done. When she went into affordable health care and she put her income down, let's just say she put in her income as $50,000. And then at the end of the year, her income ended up being, say, $65,000. What happened is when she filed her taxes, they said, oops, your income was higher, than what your estimated income was. So the $7,000 healthcare credit that we gave at tax time, we want that back.
Mm.
So that's kind of a painful oopsie, if you will.
Yeah.
Especially when you find out at tax time you owe, $7,000 because you didn't understand how to take withdrawals out and you didn't understand taking money out of a tax deferred retirement account is going to be considered countable income. Taking your Social Security benefits is going to be considered countable income. So knowing how to navigate your healthcare landscape can be very important. That's why here at America's Retirement Headquarters, we have America's Medicare Associates, working hand in hand and helping figure out, how does withdrawals pre-65 impact your cost for healthcare? That's a way that we can help you navigate it because, again, it's an income, not an asset test. The next is drawing benefits. You want to look at drawing benefits for Social Security. You can draw benefits anywhere from the age 62 all the way to delaying benefits until age 70. Why that's important is I believe that Roth IRAs, I believe that you want to shift as much money as possible into the tax-free category. So you want to move from taxable to tax-deferred to ultimately try to get it over to tax-free. Here's the problem that I see when people kick on Social Security at 62 or kick it on early, that income is going to be calculated in their tax analysis to determine what their taxable income is. So for those of us that are working, we have what is called our normal ordinary income tax brackets. Mm-hmm. But for those people who retire, they're pulling money out. Not only do they have ordinary income tax brackets, what they also have in addition to that is if they're collecting Social Security, you got to stack the Social Security on top of that with the provisional income formula, meaning that Roth IRAs become much less attractive for those people who are drawing Social Security and having healthy withdrawals from their ordinary income sources. So when you're taking money out and you want to look at converting money over to a Roth IRA, you've got to take into consideration the impact that it's going to have on Social Security. You got to take into consideration the impact of drawing Social Security, as I mentioned previously, is going to impact your health insurance cost. And by delaying Social Security can make it much more beneficial tax-wise in the long run. And why is that? Well, not all Social Security is taxable. Under the current law, only up to 85% of Social Security is taxable. Where when you look at distributions from traditional retirement accounts like IRAs or 401ks, that money is normally 100% taxable. So again, by collecting Social Security early at the age 62, not only are you getting a lifetime reduction of benefits, you're missing out on the ability to compound that growth for later in life into a vehicle that could be much more tax favorable, being only 85% taxable versus normal retirement accounts would be fully taxable. So the common approach that we see today when you're looking at making withdrawals is what is called a pro rata withdrawal strategy. And a pro rata withdrawal strategy says, hey, if you need $3,000 a month, the typical financial advisor or typical retiree will take $1,000 a month from each account. In our industry, we talk about safe withdrawal rates. Maybe that's a 4%, safe withdrawal rate. And that might be a reasonable withdrawal rate, but taking money from each account dramatically impacts the taxes that you pay over the lifetime and significantly destroys your family's legacy. If you leave the tax-deferred retirement account, so a lot of people say, well, I'm going to delay taxes till later. You're not forced until required minimum distribution age. Depending upon your age, could be between 73 and 75. And you delay that, but you've done a good enough job saving and accumulating money that you and your spouse are going to be comfortable for the rest of your lifetime. And your mind shift says, hey, if there's money left over that we don't spend, I'd like to leave that money to my children, grandchildren, things besides yourself and your wife. Then taking money and leaving money in the tax-deferred retirement accounts, may not be the best approach in the long run when you're trying to create a family legacy. And that's why that pro rata strategy doesn't make sense all the time. In one of the softwares that we use, what we can do is we can go in and we can look at the different withdrawal sequences, and we can look at the different strategies and help you kind of determine how to figure out, how to put those together as well. So you want to know the different taxable income levels. You can go on Google and you can Google 2025, federal tax brackets. And when you look at the federal tax brackets, that's going to help you determine, which accounts to draw from based upon how it will impact those. In creating the tax roadmap on what we do for our clients, we can visually see what the impact is of taking money out from a taxable account, what the impact is from taking more money from tax-deferred accounts. We can figure out the impact of Roth conversions. The other thing that we can do is we can figure out the tax impact of what things look like if one of the two spouses passes away, because there's something called a widower's tax. And with the widower's tax, the single individual has a different tax bracket than a married couple as well. So if you think about that, and then finally, you got to think about the concept of our government's out of control spending that we've had, for $36.7 trillion of national debt here in May 2025. Could tax rates go up in the future? And could tax rates go up maybe on your retirement account? So you've got to understand the different tax rates. You've got to understand, how things work. And one of the ways that you can do that in figuring out the solution to this and where you should pull funds from first is, again, let our office run a 2025 tax roadmap. We can also run a tax what-if analysis for you and help kind of walk through that decision process with you.
That's one of the many benefits that America's Retirement Headquarters can offer up to you as part of Retirement Tax Partners and the Retirement Guys formula and America's Medicare Associates. It's making sure that all your pieces are working together for you and in a way that is as tax favorable as possible. To get started, give a call, 419-794-3030. Have that tax roadmap run for you, 419-794-3030. Or find out more about Retirement Tax Partners and set up a time there at arhq.com. You've heard of financial advisors, but what about retirement coaches? Licensed financial advisors, they concentrate on the traditional topics people think of like stocks, bonds, investments. Retirement coaches focus on the entire game plan, like paying down debt, determining goals, lifestyle changes, and financial education. Nolan, when does someone know if they need or when they need a retirement coach?
Well, I did a recent interview with one of the most winning NCAA coaches, Mike Jarvis, recently when I was down in my Florida office. In fact, if you go to our YouTube channel and you type in why everybody needs a head coach, he talks a lot in his book, about those winning principles of needing a coach. And I think those same principles apply to needing a retirement coach. In fact, if you want to get an autographed copy of his book, give our office a call, shoot me an email. We've got a couple copies that we brought back signed, and so if I still have one available when you reach out to us, I'd be happy to send you a book from Coach Mike Jarvis that's autographed from him. But when we think about the advantages of having a coach, right? Think about it. We've all probably at some point, been involved in some type of coaching program, whether that's for me a business coach, whether that maybe was a sports coach that you had, in high school or college, but I think about coaches and I think about, number one, I think about the experience, right? A lot of the coaches that I have had in athletics, my golf game, I got a new set of golf clubs this year because I told my wife that's going to fix my game. And I hope it does help. I do think that it's going to maybe bring a couple of points in my favor. But, having a coach and going out with one of the professional coaches here in town, they've got the experience where they go out and they hit buckets and buckets and buckets of balls, and they know how to look at the swings and be able to help me figure out through their experience. I'm the guy who shows up on Thursday night, puts my clubs in the cart, and I'm off to the first tee. I don't have necessarily the experience that a coach has in helping you out. Number two, accountability. I think about my son, who's headed off to college, hopefully going to play college hockey at Florida Atlantic University. But we've played in high school hockey. We've played in travel hockey with the Toledo Cherokee locally. And one of the things that I loved about the coaching program there is the accountability that it brings to the table. If my son did not show up to tryouts and workouts, he didn't show up on a Tuesday or Thursday, he was going to miss gameplay on the weekend. They just would keep him accountable. And I think having a coach helps you keep yourself accountable. And that could even be a coach that you have when you're going to the gym. I know even from working with somebody at the fitness center, when I had a coach, I was much more accountable. Right now, I don't have a fitness coach, and I tell you what, Tuesdays and Thursdays, I can come up with excuses on why I missed the gym. It doesn't keep me accountable. But if I know that Mike is there at 6 o'clock, and if I don't show up, Mike is not going to be happy. He's still going to charge me, but he's helping keep me accountable, number two. Number three is objective perspective. Again, I would use myself as a parent. I would say that my son, Carter, is the best defensive hockey player in Northwest Ohio, right? I say that as a dad, right? I also am realistic in the fact that there's some great defensive players here in Northwest Ohio that I have seen play over the years as well. But it's hard, when you're looking at your own finances. It's hard when you're looking at it, from a inside perspective. It's hard to be objective. It's nice when you can have a coach to say, hey, here's the things that you got to work on if you're going to go from good to great. If you want to take your retirement from good to great, I believe that you have to have some objective perspective to talk to you about where there are, areas to improve upon. Number four, you could get confidence building and improved decision making. The challengeable thing about not having a coach is you're left to your gut, right? You're left to your gut and your emotions. And sometimes your gut is right, but sometimes your emotions are wrong. And when it comes to retirement planning, you only get one shot at getting it right. You don't have the luxury of time to play another game, right? Isn't this the game that you have been building up for your entire life? This is the game you got to win. So having a coach can help you build up confidence. How? Well, coaches have tools and technology, right? The coaches at the golf simulator that I go to, they can show me my golf spin. They can show me how hard I hit it. They can show me where to make improvements. The same is true with our financial firm here at America's Retirement Headquarters. We can help you build up confidence by looking at the tools and resources that we have to help you figure out the probability of success. We can help you make then improved decisions that says, instead of panicking when the market goes down, here's how we look at it as opportunities. Number five is you can get personalized support. So instead of going on the internet that says all retirees should be doing X, you have a coach that's helping you look at your unique situation. Not to say that there's not good advice on the internet that helps kind of generalize ideas and concepts, but the personalized support is custom tailored to you. Everybody at our office, we have their investment policy statement, and it's unique to them. Number six, with a coach, you get a growth mindset. They're always trying to help you go and grow and get better. And I think when it comes to retirement, that's the same reason. So when do you need a retirement coach? I would say if you're within 5 years of retirement or you're already retired, this is a good time where it's ideal to pick a retirement coach. When you pick a retirement coach, what I would recommend that you do is I would recommend that you pick somebody that focuses on retirement planning. There's a lot of investment professionals in this industry, and there are great investment professionals. But when you have a retirement coach and you want to look at the total game plan, you want to look at somebody that can coordinate the entire planning process. I'd also say you want to look for somebody that has more than 10 years of licensed experience of providing retirement planning advice. I have done this for now over 30 years. And what I can tell you is that, in the first 5 years, it was kind of a learning curve, So when, again, you're looking at retirement as you only get one shot at it, you want to have somebody that has more than 10 years of experience. You want to look at somebody and you know that you need a coach when you need clarity on your goals and you want a plan of action. So your, plan of action is, hey, it's May 2025. I want to retire at the end of this year. All right. So we've identified a goal, but now what's the plan of action to help you get to that goal? There's going to be specific steps that you need to take. There's going to be decisions that go along the way that can be irrevocable. Things like, when to turn on Social Security. If you have a pension, do you take a lump sum pension? Do you take a survivorship option? Developing that plan is going to help you develop a game plan to get you there. Having a coach is going to help you make you be accountable at getting the plan together and moving in the right direction. If you think about how fast time goes by, if you're looking to retire, let's say at the end of this year, you need a coach now. You need a coach now because it's going to take time to get that plan put together. Otherwise, you're going to be like, it's already the end of the year and I don't even have the game. So think about it. Think about, my son's hockey team showing up on a Friday night to play Friday hockey, and they hadn't practiced and got ready for the game. Hopefully it goes well.
Yeah.
But hope is not a strategy when it comes to your retirement, right? We don't want to hope it works out. You want to have a plan in place. You want to look at the game film. You want to have the other team figured out. You want to have everything all mapped out. Having a coach can keep you accountable to that. You might be a do-it-yourselfer, and where you could use a retirement coach is to get a second opinion on where to find opportunities, where to eliminate some of those blind spots that are out there. It's kind of like blind spots to me. It's like buying a new car. I have a red GMC Arcadia. When I went to the dealership, I thought it was like the only red with blackout GMCs in town. You know what I found out?
You found a few of them.
There's so many, right? As soon as you buy it, there's actually one in my neighborhood.
Oh, geez.
I never even noticed it until I bought the car. It's because some of the times when we do it ourselves, we have these blind spots. But a retirement coach can help you identify not only those blind spots, they can help you identify where those opportunities that are out there. So again, putting it all together, if you want a total game plan, you need a retirement coach, not just somebody who can give you investment advice. That advice is personalized to you and your family, and it can help you gain confidence to grow, to not only survive, but thrive in this environment.
It never hurts to have a second set of eyes or a first set of eyes on your plan to help you through it. Thinking back to the Masters last month, Rory McIlroy, one of the first people he thanked was his caddy. Caddies and coaches, they're very similar, but they're not, it's kind of the same. But you want someone to guide you and give you that impartial information and, hold your hand when times are tough and let you know, we've accounted for these things. That is what you get with the team at America's Retirement Headquarters, the Retirement Guys Formula, America's Medicare Associates, Retirement Tax Partners, all of it together. And to set up a time to speak with them, it's as simple as reaching out to the website, arhq.com. Find out more about them. Click on the tab to schedule the time to speak with them. It's right there, arhq.com. Or you can give a call, 419-794-3030. As always, I want to thank you for joining us here on America's Retirement Headquarters. Hope you have a great week ahead of you. Stay safe out there. Nolan, appreciate you taking time as always. And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with the final word.
Yeah, we've got a lot of great activities coming up. And one of the ones I want to, feature this week is talking about our car show that's coming up. Luckily, I was at my son's tryouts down at Tampa Bay because historically in the past, I've gone to the Barrett-Jackson Auto Auction, which has some really cool cars that are down there. In keeping with that theme, though, we are having an event here at America's Retirement Headquarters on June 7th from 3 to 6 p.m. We've got a car show. So whether you have a cool car that you want to bring out, whether it's vintage, classic, and off-road, it's open to all of our radio show fans and clients. You can sign up on the website, arhq.com. Click on the events tab. That's June 7th is our car show from 3 to 6 p.m. We have June 6th. That Friday is our Medicare First Friday. So if you're turning 65, you want to know about Medicare, we have that coming up. And then on June 17th, we're going to be up at the Sylvania Library on King Road doing a Medicare workshop as well. So for those of you that are the first time into Medicare, we've got a lot of great events. And in the meantime, again, go over to our YouTube channel, type in America's Retirement Headquarters, hit that subscribe button for more great topics. And we'll see you here next week, same time on Toledo's largest talk station. Remember, when you think retirement, think America's Retirement Headquarters.
America's Retirement Headquarters is located at 1700 Woodlands Drive in Maumee, Ohio. You can reach them by calling 419-794-3030 or online at americasretirementheadquarters.com. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell any financial vehicle. Investments can fluctuate and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. Nolan Baker is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Please consult with your attorney, accountant, and or tax advisor for advice concerning your particular circumstance. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Nolan Baker, Ohio Insurance License Number 27787.